Macduff react to the news that his family's been slaughtered? Because when we watched the show, we ended on her crying because her son was dead.
Okay.
Unalive.
So we are
Alive.
reading Act 4, Scene 3, page 139.
Act 4. Page 139.
And in Act 4, Scene 3, we are meeting with Malcolm and Macduff. So we know that Macduff fled to England to rally support from Malcolm. So that's where we start.
Act 4, Scene 3.
Anybody want to read Malcolm or Macduff? I'll be the other one.
I'll be Malcolm. Oh man, there's a lot of reading here. Okay, can I start?
Yep.
Let us seek out some desolate shade and there leave our sad bosoms empty.
Let us rather hold fast the mortal sword, and like good men, bestride our downfall and birthdom. Each new morn, new widows howl, new orphans cry, new sorrows strike heaven on the face that it resounds as if it felt with Scotland, and yelled out like a symbol of dolor.
What I believe, I'll will. What no, believe, and what I can redress. As I shall find the time to friend, I will. What you have spoke, it may be so. Perchance, this tyrant, whose sole name blisters our tongues, was once thought honest. You have loved him well. He hath not touched you yet. I am young, but something you may deserve of him through me, and wisdom to offer up a weak, poor, innocent lamb to appease an angry God.
Okay, so they have been talking. We are interrupting a conversation that's kind of already begun. So why has Macduff come here? Or what have they already discussed?
Duncan.
Oh no, they're discussing how
Well,
about his wife and son, right?
No, he doesn't know anything about his wife and son.
Till later.
That's what Malcolm says. He hath not touched you yet. So Macduff doesn't know anything has happened to his family yet. So what are Macduff and Malcolm discussing?
The plot against his tyranny.
Yeah, how bad Macbeth is. Macduff says, each morn new widows howl, new orphans cry, new sorrows strike heaven on the face. So the state of Scotland right now is very bad. Now, Malcolm is suspicious. What reason does he have to be suspicious of Macduff?
Because he used to work for Macbeth.
Okay, he used to be friends with Macbeth. And up until the last few days, everybody trusted Macbeth. So why would he trust him? What's another reason he doesn't trust him?
He's not English. He's Scottish. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
They're both Scottish.
Oh.
They're just hiding out in England.
Okay. Wait, which one's Malcolm again?
Malcolm is Duncan's son,
Okay.
who fled after his death.
So he might be suspicious that Macduff's there to kill Malcolm because Macbeth killed
Okay,
his-
so Malcolm is suspicious that Macduff has come to assassinate him. But why?
Because
Why is Macduff deserve suspicion?
maybe Macduff wanted to be king.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, he's got some.
So
power
far,
behind him.
how has Macbeth punished Macduff?
No.
He hasn't. So Malcolm might find that suspicious, that Macduff hasn't suffered yet, which clearly is an indicator that
He's
Yes.
he is in league with Macbeth.
Ah.
Okay, Macduff says, I am not treacherous.
But Macbeth is. A good and virtuous nature may recoil in an imperial charge, but I shall crave your pardon. That which you are, my thoughts cannot transpose. Angels are bright still, and though the brightest fell, though all things foul would wear the brows of grace, yet grace must look so.
So Malcolm says, I just can't
Do it.
can't trust you.
Oh.
Even angels, the brightest angel of all was Lucifer.
Oh.
Even God thought him honorable up until the moment he betrayed him. Okay? I have lost my hopes.
Perchance even there where I did find my doubts, why in that rawness you left wife and child, those precious motives, those strong knots of love, without leave taking, I pray you, let not my jealousies be your dishonors, but mine own safeties. You may be rightly just, whatever I shall think.
So here's another reason Malcolm is suspicious of him. What has he done?
Left his wife and child.
Left his wife and child at home in a place he fled from himself. So Macduff tries to explain himself. Bleed, bleed, poor country. Great tyranny, lay thou thy basest sure, for goodness dare not check thee. Wear thou thy wrongs, the title is afeared. Fare thee well, Lord. I would not be the villain that thou thinkest, for the whole space that is in the tyrant's grasp, and the rich east to boot. So Macduff is mad. First of all, he doesn't feel like he deserves the distrust that Malcolm is showing him, and he doesn't have a way to prove himself. So he says,
Be not offended.
So Macduff says, I'll just
Leave.
There's no way I can convince you to believe me. I came here to save my country. If you don't want to do that,
I'll just go back home.
I'll just go find someone else. Okay? Malcolm says,
Be not offended. I speak not as an absolute fear of you. I think our country sinks beneath the yoke. It weeps, it bleeds, and each new day a gash is added to her wounds. I think withal there would be hands uplifted in my right. And here from gracious England have I offer of goodly thousands. But for all this, when I shall tread upon the tyrant's head, or wear on my sword, yet my poor country shall have more vices than it had before, more suffer and more sundry ways than ever, by him that shall succeed.
okay. So he says, I too think our country seeks beneath the yoke. What's a yoke? Y-O-K-E, yoke.
Y-O-K-E?
Like the middle of the yellow.
It's
No. That's L-K.
It's
Yeah, we'll see. Wait, yoke is.
there. It's like a.
Whoops.
I've heard it. Hold on.
I think
Like a low status. Or
whenever I
something.
think of
No.
yoke, I think of a singer, or like a
No.
yoke.
Can you repeat the
I think it was like a
sentence
baby.
it was in?
I think our country sinks beneath the yoke. A yoke is a big, heavy piece of plywood, well, not plywood, lumber that they use to harness oxen.
Oh.
It's like two 2x12s
Mm-hmm.
attached together with a little
No.
part cut out, and it goes on the back of oxen. And the reason it weighs so much is because oxen are really strong,
Mm-hmm.
but wearing this heavy thing helps control them. So if the country seeks beneath the yoke is Macbeth
And it needs pushed down.
holding down the country.
Mm-hmm.
So Malcolm thinks something is bad, but then he says, but for all this, when I shall tread upon the tyrant's head or wear it on my sword, my poor country shall have more vices than it had before by he who takes over. Who's going to take over Scotland if Macbeth is overthrown? Malcolm. And right there he says, I will be,
King?
Yeah, he's gonna be a bad king.
I'll be a worse king than Macbeth already is. Okay, Macduff is piqued, so he says, what should he be?
It is myself, I mean, in whom I know all the particulars of vice so grafted, that when they shall be opened, black Macbeth will seem as pure as snow, and the poor state esteem him as a lamb, being compared with my confineless harms.
So Malcolm thinks he will be such a bad king, he will make Macbeth
Look good.
look good. What's a vice?
Like a vice grip?
Like,
No?
are you talking about like a vice that
Like a
brings
flaw.
two things together?
A flaw.
Like,
Like a bad habit.
Mm.
Something that you do,
That's why he says shall have more vices than it did before.
yeah, something that you do because you like it, even though it's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Not in the legions of horrid hell can come a devil more damned in evils to top Macbeth,
I grant him bloody, luxurious, avaricious, false, deceitful, sudden, malicious, smacking of every sin that has a name.
and that's all talking about Macbeth. Those are all bad things about Macbeth. But
there's no bottom, none. In my voluptuousness, your wives, your daughters, your matrons, and your maids could not fill up the cistern of my lust and my desire. All continent impediments would overbear that did oppose my will. Better Macbeth than such a one to reign.
so Malcolm lists his vices here. His first one is
Lust.
Yeah,
Lust.
I was gonna say like
he will devour
he's a man.
every
Woman.
in the kingdom.
Yeah.
The wives, the widows, the daughters. There is not enough women in the world to fill the cistern of my lust. And we all know what starts wars.
Women.
Love.
Land.
Well, like fighting
love.
against chicks. Like
Yeah.
for fighting
So,
for chicks.
If he were to go back and become king and start devouring all the women, it would only lead to more destruction. Okay, Macduff says, boundless intemperance in nature is a tyranny. It hath been the untimely emptying of the happy throne and fall of many kings. But fear not yet to take upon what is yours. You may convey your pleasures in a spacious plenty, yet seem cold. The time you may so hoodwink. We have willing dames enough. There cannot be that vulture in you to devour so many as will to greatness dedicate themselves, finding it so inclined. So Macduff reasons this away, saying,
That's not possible.
there will be
Plenty.
plenty of women throwing themselves at your feet as king.
He's like, just take the
You'll
offer.
be fine. Okay, so Malcolm gives another vice here.
With this there grows in my most ill-composed affection such a stanceless avarice that, were I king, I should cut off the nobles for their lands. Desire his jewels and the other's house, and my more having would be as a sauce to make me hunger more, that I should forge quarrels unjust against the good and loyal, destroying them for wealth.
So what's his second vice?
Gluttony or greed?
Greed, gluttony. What would he do?
Take everything
Take
from
everything
the
from
rich.
everyone.
Take everything from the nobility of Scotland, bleed them dry for his own wealth. This avarice sticks deeper, grows with more pernicious root than summer seeming lust, and yet it hath been the sword of our slain kings. Yet do not fear. Scotland has Phocians to fill up your will of your mere own. All these are portable with other graces weighed. So then it says over in the side note, balance against other qualities that are virtuous. So is this enough to keep him from being king? No, Scotland has plenty of
Everything.
riches. You will be fine. You will have enough. This will not keep you from the king. Because you have other good things about you. So we can look past this. Okay, Malcolm?
But I have none. The king becoming graces as justice, verity, temperance, stableness, bounty, preservance, mercy, lowliness, devotion, patience, courage, fortitude, devotion. Oh, I already read that. I have no relish of them, but abound in the division of each several crime, acting it many ways. Nay, had I power, I should pour the sweet milk of concord into hell, uproar the universal peace, confound all unity on earth.
So his last vice is
He does not have qualities to be king.
he has none. He has none of the qualities. And what's worse, if he had power, he would
You ruin it.
abuse it. He would destroy peace on earth. He would go searching for things to conquer and destroy. Okay. Oh, Scotland, Scotland.
If such a one be fit to govern, speak. I am as I have spoken.
Fit to govern? No, not to live. So Macduff says, no, you are not ruling my country. O nation miserable, with an untidy tyrant, bloody scepter, When shalt thou see thy wholesome days again, since that the truest issue of thy throne, by his own interdiction, stands accursed and does blaspheme his breed? Thy royal father was a most sainted king. The queen that bore thee, oftener upon her knees than on her feet, died every day she lived. Fare thee well. These evils thou repeatest upon thyself hath banished me from Scotland. O my breast, thy hope ends here. So Macduff feels alone.
He's like, this is the one place I came for help, and you can't even help me.
Yeah, miserable,
Yeah.
defeated, completely. Like, he had all his eggs in this one basket of Malcolm.
Like, he left his family.
And now Malcolm is saying
Sorry.
Wow.
he would be worse than me, than Macbeth. And so Macduff is like, your father would be ashamed of you. Your father was the greatest king Scotland's ever known. And here's you? Really? Okay. Malcolm.
Macduff, this noble passion, child of integrity, hath from my soul wiped the black scruples, reconciled my thoughts to thy good truth and honor. Devilish Macbeth, by many of these trains, hath sought to win me into his power, and modest wisdom plucks me from over credulous haste.
So, in the past few months since, or I don't know, how long do you think it's been since the beginning of the story?
Probably only a couple
Weeks.
I was thinking weeks.
So since then, Macbeth has already sent someone to England to try to trick Malcolm. So he's had to defend himself from Macbeth's plots already. Go ahead.
But God above deal between thee and me. For even now I put myself to thy direction, and unspeak mine own detraction. Here observe the taints and blames I laid upon myself, for strangers to my nature. I am yet unknown to woman, never was forsworn, scarcely have coveted what was mine own. At no time broke my faith, would not betray the devil to his fellow, and delight no less in truth than life. My first false speaking was this upon myself.
So, those three vices he just illustrated were lies.
Because, like, when I got to this part of the book, I was like, what the heck? So he's saying this, but then he says that
He
he's
said his lust cannot be contained. He's a virgin.
Yeah. So his first vice was his lust, but actually he's a virgin. His second was greed, but then he says, I've never coveted anything. I would never break faith with myself, meaning he's very like morally upstated guy. So why did he lie to Macduff?
Probably. Maybe he doesn't want to be king.
What was he doing?
Maybe to see if Macduff would be like, oh yeah, you can still be king.
He was testing
Okay,
himself.
he was testing Macduff. He needed to know where Macduff's loyalties were. And his loyalties belong to whom?
Scotland.
Scotland.
Country.
He is loyal to his country above all else. And that's what Malcolm needed to know. If that's the way Macduff responded to this test, that's the answer he was looking for. Then Macduff really does have the best interest of Scotland at heart. Okay, go ahead.
What I am truly is thine, and my poor country's to command. Whether indeed before thy here approach, old Seaward, and 10,000 warlike men, already at a point, was setting forth. Now well together, and the chance of goodness be like our warranted quarrel. Why are you silent?
Okay, so then Malcolm announces that just before Macduff got here, he was working on this plan with whom? Seaward. And what have they planned?
To fight Scotland.
To fight. How many
Raise an
guys?
army.
Yeah, to raise an army. So far he's got 10,000 men ready to go.
That's
And
alright.
Seaward is the English captain of the military, okay? And Macduff has just been standing there dumbstruck listening to this speech. And so Malcolm says, why are you standing there silent? Such welcome and unwelcome things at once, 'tis hard to reconcile. Somebody needs to be the doctor.
I can do
Okay,
that.
thank you, Maya.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Malcolm.
Well, more anon. Comes the king, I pray you.
Aye, sir. There are a crew of wretched souls that stay his cure. Their malady convinces the great essay of art, but at his touch, such what's that? Sanctity hath heaven given his hand. They presently amend.
I thank you, Doctor.
And he leaves. Now, the King of England at this time was said to have special healing powers given to him by God. Remember, before the reign of the Tudor monarchs, during the time this book was written, because it's set hundreds of years before it's actually written, kings were chosen by God. And this king was chosen because of his special powers to heal people with his touch. So commoners come to him so he can lay his hand upon them and be healed. That's what the doctor reports.
King placebo.
Is that why they went for him?
Probably. What's the disease he needs?
'Tis called the evil, a most miraculous work in this good king, which often sends
Actually, let's just skip past that part because he says, yep, I've seen him do some amazing things. Okay, then Ross comes in. Who wants to be Ross?
Sorry, Ross.
Who comes here?
my countryman, but yet I know him not.
My ever gentle cousin, welcome hither.
I know him now. Good God, we times remove the means that make us strangers.
Sir, amen.
Stand Scotland where it did.
Alas, poor country, almost afraid to know itself, it cannot. We call our mother, but our grave, where nothing but who knows nothing is once seen to smile. Where sighs and groans and shrieks that rent the air are made, not marked, where violent sorrow seems a modern ecstasy. The dead man's knell is there scarce asked for who, and the good men's lives expire before the flowers in their caps, dying or ere they sicken.
So in the time since Macduff left, things have got
Way worse.
worse. Yeah. Oh, relation, too nice and yet too true.
What's the newest grief?
That of an hour's age doth hiss the speaker, each minute teems a new one.
How does my wife
Why, well,
and all my children?
well too.
And so Ross
Doesn't
is
matter.
telling either he doesn't know or
Telling a lie.
he's lying. The tyrant has not battered at their peace,
No, they were all well at peace when I did leave them.
and Macduff can tell something's off with him. Be not a niggard of your speech. How goes it?
When I came hither to transport the tidings, which I have heavily borne, there ran a rumor of many worthy fellows that were out, which was to my belief witnessed the rather. For that I saw the tyrant's power afoot. Now is the time for help. Your eye in Scotland would create soldiers, make our women fight, to doth their desire distresses.
So Ross came here because people in Scotland are starting to give up. If Malcolm and Macduff would come back,
Give them a reason.
it may inspire the people to
Fight.
rise up against Macbeth. But no one's willing to do that when he's the only one in power. Malcolm?
Be it their comfort, we are coming thither.
Mhm.
Gracious England hath lent us good seaward and 10,000 men, an older and a better soldier none, that Christendom gives out.
Would I could answer this comfort with the like, but I have words, they would be howled out in the desert air, where hearing should not latch them.
What concern they? The general cause? Or is it a fee grief due to some single breast?
No mind that's honest, but in it shares some woe, though the main part pertains to you alone.
If it be mine, keep it not from me. Quickly, let me have it.
Let not your ears despise my tongue forever, which shall possess them with the heaviest sound that ever yet they heard. So is he like saying, don't blame me for like telling you?
Yeah. So Ross comes to try to get Macduff and Malcolm to return. Once they say, yeah, we're coming, we got an army ready, then Ross says, okay, by the way, I have some bad news. And Macduff's like, just give it to me straight. And Ross says,
You're not gonna like it.
You're not gonna like it. Yeah, don't hate me for it. Okay. I guess at it.
Your castle is surprised, your wife and babes savagely slaughtered. To relate the manner, were on the quarry of those murdered dear, to add to the death of you.
Merciful heaven, what man never pull your hat upon your brows? Give sorrow words, the grief that does not speak, whispers the overfraught heart and bids it break.
My children too,
Wife, children, servants, all that could be found.
and I must be from thence. My wife killed too.
I have said.
Be comforted. Let's make medicines of our great revenge to cure this deadly grief.
So Malcolm's message is
Let's get revenge.
turn your
Anger into like
Turn your
use that as
sadness into
energy.
anger.
turn your
to
grief
fight.
to
Yeah, that's
anger
right.
to revenge. He has no children. All my pretty ones. Did you say all? Oh, hellkite. All? What? All my pretty chickens and their dam at one fell swoop?
Dispute it like a man.
I shall do so, but I must also feel it as a man. I cannot but remember such things that were more precious to me. Did heaven look on and would not take their part? Sinful Macduff, they were all struck for thee. Not that I am, not for their own demerits, but for mine, fell slaughter on their souls. Heaven rest them now. So the biggest thing he's feeling, not only grief, but responsibility, because they were killed
Because he left.
because of him, because of his role, or unrole, in Macbeth's new regime. Okay? Now, this is a lot of people who study this play look back at this moment about the gender theme, which we're going to see this kind of turning of the tides, where Macduff feels like it's okay for men to show a little bit of weakness. Whereas at the beginning of the play, Lady Macbeth said,
Be a man.
Like your
weakness
opposite.
made you womanly. Here we have Macduff saying, no, I must feel it as a man, as in men must also have feelings. Okay, Malcolm?
Be this the whetstone of your sword. Let grief convert to anger. Blunt not the heart, enrage it.
Oh, I could play the woman with mine eyes and braggart with my tongue. But gentle heavens, cut short all intermission. Front to front, bring thou this fiend of Scotland, and myself within my sword's length set him. If he escape, heaven forgive him too. So Macduff wants to be the one to kill him.
This tune goes manly. Come, go we to the king. Our power is ready. Our lack is nothing but our leave. Macbeth is ripe for shaking, and the powers above put on their instruments. Receive what cheer you may. The night is long that never finds a day.
And they ride towards Scotland.
Okay, so I remember the witch's specter thingamajigs saying that Macbeth won't be killed by any man until Forrest ends up in front of his castle.